Hello and welcome to May 2021. Taurus season. It's Taurus season. My name is Lynette Clement and I am reading from the May 2021 issue of the Love Exquisite Magazine, which you can access for free on loveexquisite.com. So I am reading the word of the month for May is promise. Bear with me a moment. If I stumble over my words again, I will go back and try and make them more clear. God will always fulfill his promise. So feel comfortable standing on his promises. If God said it, believe it shall come to pass. God is not like man. If he said it, you can believe in his word. You have to have faith that God will always fulfill his promises. So think about that. We are not God. So oftentimes we don't leave room for error when we come across people who don't always fulfill their promises that they make to us. So we have to kind of give them some grace because they are not God. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people who always make broken promises. Those are not the people that I am referring to. I'm referring to people who sometimes extenuating circumstances happen and they can't fulfill their promise to you at that time. However, they do make an effort to try and make up for try and make it up to you on a different day and time. So you have to allow them the grace to be able to make it up so that the promise can be fulfilled. So don't stand in the way of them trying to fulfill their promise to you. So basically, a promise is a word of bond. So if I ever say, I'll do something for you, and I say, I promise, or I'll say something and I'll say that I'll say this and then I say I promise. If I ever promise anything, believe that I am going to do what I say that I'm going to do. My word is my bond, and you can trust in that word, in my word. Um, so making a promise to someone is a strong commitment that should be fulfilled to the best of your ability. Again, unless circumstances come up that delay the manifestation of your promise in that current moment, in that time. So, no matter what, we shouldn't promise anything that we are not willing or incapable of delivering. If you say that you're going to do something, do it. Don't just say it because you think that's what the person wants to hear. Actually do it. If you ever promise that you're going to do something, then be a man or woman of your word. Honor that, because it's the easiest way to get someone to not trust in your word or not trust in you anymore is to break promises on a consistent basis. So if people cannot count on your word, then your words become meaningless to people who you have broken promises to. You hear people say sometimes that promises are meant to be broken. However, that statement is so far from the truth. So don't promise anything that you can't deliver on. So let's go back and I'll get into what a promise is. A promise is a declaration of assurance that one will do a particular thing or that a particular thing will happen. So, again, just make sure that you don't make promises that you can't keep, that you know you cannot keep. Just don't try to appease people by saying, "Oh, I promise you I'm going to do this," or don't say it because you're trying to get something from them. If you make a promise, you have to honor your word, because your promise is your word. And if your word is not your bond, then your word becomes meaningless. So, nevertheless, we also have to keep in mind that things can happen that can delay the person from fulfilling that promise. So, again, we have to allow them grace. If someone breaks their promise, and they can't fulfill it within that time frame that they said that they were promised to do it. So we have to also keep in mind that sometimes things do happen, but then you have to also consider how many times has this person broken promises that they made to me. So you have to evaluate that person and evaluate that situation, and then determine on how you want to approach the person and have a conversation about how you feel about them breaking promises to you. And then you have to move on from there. You have to also keep in mind that the only person that keeps their promises 100% of the time is God. So even if if you get a word from God and you say, "Well, God, you promised me that you would do X, Y, and Z." So make sure that it's a word from God and not from you, not from your own what you really want. Not from your own wants, because God never gives us something that is not in alignment with his will for our lives. So keep that in mind as well. So as you move on in May and this month, as well as the months beyond May, don't make promises that you know you can't keep. And people out there, when somebody makes a promise to you, don't hold people to the standard of God. No, promises are not meant to be broken, but sometimes things can happen that can delay the manifestation of the promise in the time frame in which you wish it would have been allotted. So allow people the time to recover. Allow people the time to make it up to you if that is what their intention is on doing. So promise is the word for May. If you make a promise, keep the promise. And don't make a promise that you can't keep. This is the word of the month for May, found in the 2021 edition of the Love Exquisite Magazine. Thank you for listening.